Wait. Now.
Wait. Now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to BS session number 52. Aaron from Tactacam is so committed to coming on tonight after ghosting us last time that he's literally joining us from the pits of hell, and he's brought his cohort Joseph with him just to keep it interesting. So, fuck it. We're past zero return. Let's get to it.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Holistically Speaking podcast.
Haha. Poking a little.
It's really okay. I got to know something. So we're still kind of stuck on technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear the music and everything associated with that intro?
I did. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I heard none of it. All I heard was the dumb broad at the beginning talking, and then the clip from Happy Madison or whatever the heck it was, saying it was dumb.
Did you say Happy Madison?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Happy Madison was the production.
Happy Madison Productions.
Happy Gilmore was a movie, and Billy Madison was a movie.
Right, but it's Happy Madison Productions.
It was Happy Madison Productions. That is true. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I'm having some issues here. Apparently, I might
think we're
log off and back on again.
You know what? Stay where you are. I don't think it's going to get any better. And I think we're just going to have
stay
to
silent. Silent Bob.
No, we can hear you.
Silent Bob thing. Really?
We can hear you fine.
I can barely hear you guys.
Well, that's turn the volume up on your headset.
And Halloween guy down on the bottom left is like I can't hear him at all.
Oh, really?
He's calling me a jackass right now. I'm certain of it, and I can't hear him.
Yeah.
Try messing with your volume. Is there a physical button, a volume button on your headset? Because Scotty's just confirmed that we're all good on their end.
That's crazy odd.
Yeah. So this is the way that it's going tonight. We got Aaron is in Maryland right now, and they apparently have a big thunderstorm. It knocked out his power about an hour and a half ago. He's joining us from his cell phone data on his cell phone. He's got a candle lit, which is why it looks like he's in the pits of hell, and sounds very similar. Joseph is in sunny Texas. He seems to be doing just fine.
Can't complain. It's a little hot. I mean, 105 degrees Fahrenheit, but other than that, we're pretty good.
Yeah, that's more than a little hot. That's yeah. That's despicable.
It's an active day for us this time of year. It's been triple digits for almost a month and a half now. So
what part of Texas?
And
are you in?
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I'd write a letter if I were you. That ought to fix it.
Yeah.
Don't bother. Anyway, before we really get going on Tactacam, and guys, we've got a lot to talk to you about. So you got a lot of questions. You got a lot of products. Obviously, the very Tactacam is probably the most recognizable name in firearms soul stealing equipment. I don't know what you really want to call it, but camera equipment. So we got lots of stuff we want to go through. But before we do, we've got to pay some bills. You want to start us out, Kurt?
Sure. As soon as I get some things rolling here. All right. Say it again.
Did you have to wipe? I don't know, or something. I
can't hear a goddamn thing. This is really frustrating.
Let's
just pretend that I can hear everything you're saying. I'm gonna nod like a complete drooling idiot.
All right, do the ad read.
Guys, listen. I will. We'll do the ad reads, and then I'll try and adjust some stuff. This is crazy.
Okay.
All right. brought to you again tonight by EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a build today at emprifles.ca.
And Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
Callsign 66, welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
Odell Engineering, pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4-32 rifle scope and get on the mailing list for more exciting products coming soon. And we're still waiting to hear. We're on the Hunter, right? And
The Hunter and the Edge, yeah.
The Edge, right. Okay. They're supposed to be coming soon.
I think it was a 3 to 12 or 3 to 6. I can't remember what the power is on the Hunter now.
Oh, it's is it a 5 to 15 or a 3 to 15? I think it's a 5 to 15.
3 to 15. 3 to 15.
3 to 15. 5 to 15.
3 to 15 by 44. And then the Edge is a 1 to 10, 1 to 12.
It is, yeah.
1 to 10 LPVO.
Yes.
And
nice.
we heard, as we heard last week, we're expecting them closer to, well, for regular stock, it looked like they're looking closer to October. For pre-orders, they're looking at September for both of those products.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So they both got a little bit of a bump back. There's a couple of things going on. They want to make sure that are perfectly hammered out. That's probably the wrong word when we're talking about precision optics.
Yeah. Blacksmith optics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're torture testing them is what I'm trying to say. And
right.
Lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. So it is delaying their launch a little bit. So yeah, it's September, October is what we're looking at. Also brought to you by Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
And the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18, the shooting sports retail store with indoor range, education and training, laser engraving, fine firearms, and much more. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and on their website at theshootingedge.com.
And you can find J.R. Cox on Grindr. Wait, what? No, what? Something actually to note about the Shooting Edge. They recently built a 6-lane axe throwing bay, and they have a lounge attached to the axe throwing bay now. And I believe he said it's licensed, right? It is a licensed lounge attached to the axe throwing bay. They still have the indoor gun range like they always have. And then they also have the store, which contains everything that you need if you like to shoot things.
Shoot stuff and duck and steal.
Yep.
Stuff.
Duck
Sounds like a good establishment.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's a great place. Great place. And finally, we're brought to you by March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all of your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Nisa at marchscopes.ca. And
Okay.
holy cow.
Sorry, I'm going to check out for a little bit here, try and get something sorted with this
It's okay. I'll just
sound
carry...
issue I have.
How
Yeah,
about
you
I
do
just
your thing, like you always do.
Yeah, how about I just do that? Okay. So we have Aaron, brand manager from Tactacam, and we have Joseph, Tactacam staff. Joseph, you also have a TV show, Texas Game Hunters. Is
Yes,
that what it is?
Yes, sir.
Texas Game Hunters. And what channel does that air on?
We're more of a streaming service, so we're on Roku TV, YouTube, all the streaming stuff. We were on the Pursuit channel for a while, and then we decided we're just going to go straight streaming because that's what everybody's doing now. So, and it's actually been really great for us.
Beautiful. And then, so what do you do with Tactacam?
I shoot a bunch of stuff, miss sometimes. Man,
product tester or
product tester, torture tester. I think I'm the only one who's ever blown up a Tactacam, like literally caught it on fire. But,
that's an interesting story, I bet.
So torture tester, all the good stuff. So
but now you can't just like stop there. I mean, we need to know how you lit a Tactacam on fire.
I think he sent that in for warranty too, and he didn't tell us that. So we're gonna have a chat after this.
No, I think that in his wall of fame for like destroyed Tactacams. So
that's awesome.
Run it so much that the battery, when batteries get a little bit old, they expand. Well, this one was going on 3 years old, and it was expanding, and it sort of got stuck because it was real hot in Texas, one of those hot days. And instead of just waiting for it to cool off, I'm like, no, I'm going to take my pocket knife and stick it in there and pull it out. Well, when I did that, I accidentally, my sharp pocket knife went in and broke like the seal. And so it started smoking like from the lithium, and like fire started shooting out of my and I'm like, what is it? It was turned into a flare. But that was totally my fault because you don't dig around in lithium batteries with a pocket knife.
Because doesn't that stuff combusts when it is exposed to oxygen, right?
I don't know. I just know it went kapoof. So I don't know the technical terms, but
you're the reason that we can't check lithium-ion batteries on airplanes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Beautiful. So Aaron, tell us a little bit about Tactacam. Like how did Tactacam get started? How long have you guys been around? And tell us about the genesis of the whole company.
Yeah, man. It's kind of a cool story. So GoPro was around and all that extra good stuff. Cell phones would come out with cameras. And our founder, Ben Stern, he was his grandpa was getting up there in age, and he's the guy who kind of got Ben into hunting. And just Ben being Ben, the guy who's questioning everything all the time. He sitting in the street stand one day was saying, "Hey man, what do I got to do to build a camera basically so I can take these videos back home and show my grandpa what I saw in the stand?" And he's got an art degree in college, but through that he knew randomly met some people that kind of sidestepped into manufacturing and electronics and everything else. And so he had some buddies get him some micro chip motherboards and some camera lenses. And basically he took the very first camera it's got a button on it. It's got a watch battery, a motherboard, and a lens, and it's all like duct taped together. And he took that out in the field until he could get that lens the way he wanted it. And he just duct taped it to the riser of his bow. And that's to this day that he still got that camera right sitting beside your melted one, Joseph, I think, on his shelf. And it still turns on and still does its thing, man. So that was the genesis of Tactacam. He just wanted to build a camera to share his hunt, and exactly what the brand says, share your hunt. And one thing led to another. He got a business partner to help him kind of kick it off the ground, and then when the time was right, Jeff and Tara Peel stepped in and had an opportunity to buy the bigger piece of the company there, and became Ben's new business partners. And really, they've made it what Tactacam is today. Just an awesome company to work for. So they've been around about 10 years. I was actually I'm the only person still around from like the original crew of people that got hired. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not sure yet. But so basically it was Jeff, Tara, Ben. There was a guy named Frank Lemus, and they had like one marketing gal, I think, and maybe a couple part-time people in the warehouse helping them out when I got my first full-time gig with them. And today, I think we're either at or just over 300 employees. Just in the last couple of years here, we've exploded. We launched a trail camera line, kind of got into that space. Same thing, and they're looking at, these guys are all a bunch of deer hunters, and they've used about every cellular camera you can imagine on the market. And there was always something, whether it was the camera or the service or whatever, that just didn't seem to quite check the perfect box. And they said, hey, if we could make our perfect camera, what would it do? And what would we do to stand behind it? And if we can do that, we think we can win. So they built I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but somewhere in the ballpark of like 50,000 units just to start and see what would happen. More, it was just a fun project for them. And they sold out well within the first few months, and then it just became a whirlwind. And so now we have Tactacam Reveal, which is a cellular game camera line, the number one camera on the market currently, and yeah, it's just made the company explode, and which is awesome because we're bringing in all these IT people now. And we have a whole tech department that's doing tons of app designs and just all kinds of really cool stuff. So yeah, man, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of where Tactacam started. And now went from a duct tape thing with a watch battery in it to an explosive battery and 4K resolution.
That's an explosive battery. That's an interesting thing to make. Obviously, he's got to have some sort of technical knowledge to be able to make a camera that's powered by a watch battery. Like there's obviously some sort of background there.
Yeah, he's one of those tech guys. So he's got a background in photography, so he knows his way around cameras. Knew some people in the camera industry, things like that. But yeah, he's actually, like I said, he's an art major, from college, and that's what he was doing. And I think I actually just heard this story for the first time this last week at our marketing meeting up at their new place in Montana. Ben was talking about the way he met his original partner, got connected with his original partner for the Tactacam side of the house. He was walking around to some art fair, basically, where guys go to get recognized, and he has big giant photo album of portfolio art pieces that he was trying to sell and get into some sort of art association or something. And anyway, that's how he ended up crossing paths with the right guy to take him into Tactacam, which is crazy.
So you said their headquarters is up in Montana?
No. So Jeff and Tara just bought a ranch up there, so they had to show it off, I think, with the first marketing meeting up there and get everybody there to ooh and ah over it, and then send us back to the middle of DC so we can cry ourselves to sleep every night. But no, they headquarters is Caledonia, Minnesota. That's where the first headquarters was, and then we've got a second headquarters now with the expansion of Reveal in Decorah, Iowa. So right there, kind of in the heart of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Jeff and Tara originally from Indiana. Ben is from Wisconsin, and their other partner, another Ben, kind of the silent guy in the background, the silent partner, my boss, he is also from Wisconsin. He lives a few blocks away from Ben, actually. Ben Stern.
Neat. So what? I don't. You may have said it, but I might have missed it. I don't think you said it. What year did they start Tactacam?
No, geez, you're gonna make me get my fingers out.
Approximate year.
Approximate year. So this was they're right on 10 years. So would that be 2012? I think 2013.
2013. Okay.
Yeah.
So
somewhere in that
there's obviously, I mean, the latest cylindrical camera is the 6.0. So I'm assuming that means that's the 6th iteration. There hasn't been any decimal points with any of these models, has there?
No decimal points. So the original was just called Tactacam. Didn't have a number associated with it at all. That one didn't have the name brand on the side, and if you still see them today, they're the same cylinder shape you can expect. But they're a metal housing, and then when they went to so you had some camo options. Really was kind of the spoof of that. When they really got good at what the camera could do and started upgrading resolutions and things, they changed it to like a flat black camera. That was your 2.0. So that was where the numbers came into play. And then they had a 3 and a 4.0 that launched at the same time. That was when we went to the polymer housing camera. And the only difference between the 3 and the 4.0 is they started playing around with, hey, if we put a Wi-Fi antenna into this camera to connect to your phone so you can like live stream and stuff like that, do the customers want that or not? And will they pay for it or not? And they sold like 4 or 5 to 1 over the 3.0. So they just discontinued the 3, stuck with the 4. And then the 5.0, I feel like, was really the biggest leap in technology. The camera shape was the same, weight was the same, but the audio is like, the audio will blow your mind out of a 5.0 for no bigger than that microphone is. First 4K camera that we came out with, we had a wide angle lens as well. So you get a guy like Joe over here just kicking butt with a TV show. You can film almost a whole TV show with just, little 3-ounce cameras at the end of the day when the 5.0 came out. They were remote compatible, so you could run multiples at a time. And yeah, it's awesome.
I ditched most of my like standard big cameras, handheld. I had the Sonys and all of that. And honestly, got to the point where before I started with Tactacam, I was losing a little bit interest in the filming side because it was taking the enjoyment and the fun out of the hunt. It was turning more into like, an acting type thing. Like if I missed something on camera to finish the show, like a lot of the shows still do this, they reenact part of the stuff. And it's just like, man, you don't get the natural, reactions of kids, of me, of my wife, whatever.
Right.
And so with
it turns into a DC Universe comic book movie.
Excellent. I wanted
too many reshoots.
I wanted the Marvel stuff, not the DC.
Right. Pre-Disney Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah, you could put the wide angle pointed towards you, mounted on the gun, a regular 5.0 facing forward, then with the FTS adapter through the scope. So on my gun, I have 3 angles that you can switch back and forth to, sometimes 4 angles without even trying. Everything starts with the push of a button. You can link them all to a regular remote. So you press a button, all start recording at the same time, which makes it amazing for editing purposes.
For syncing it, yeah.
And then I just hunt. I have fun. I don't have to worry about the camera. And it brought the enjoyment back into the show, and we kept running with it. And my wife loved it too, because she would always hold the camera for me, and she wanted to just enjoy it. And so she ended up taking the gun from me some of the time. She's like, "No, now I get to hunt," And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And it just made it, from a filming aspect, you could go back and actually enjoy and live the hunt, instead of not just reliving the hunt through the video, but you can live it in the moment. I think a lot with technology now, our phones and stuff like that, we're always looking at whatever we're watching through our electronics instead of in person. And same thing with video cameras. Now you can actually look at it in person and not have to worry about what you're filming, and then you can re-enjoy it later, so you get the best of both worlds.
Right.
Yeah, spot on, man.
So I want to ask you.
Am I not coming through?
You are, but very quietly.
You're whispering.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this laptop across the room. Just bear with me.
You just came back.
Now I hear you.
Yeah, there you go.
Really?
You suck, jackass.
I've heard that before. I don't know what it is.
Okay, ask your question. So normally, just so everybody knows, Kurt normally sounds the same as me. We normally record on the same microphone. Kurt being the responsible 51-year-old.
My voice is not quite so svelte.
That has okay. Well, you compliment me and I insult you at the same time. I'm just going to continue with my insult. Being the intelligent 51-year-old that he is, who is not at all at risk of senility or some other sort of dementia, seems to have
that you?
His microphone somewhere. Is that you? He's on, like, I don't even, where did you get that Walmart special gaming microphone headset anyway?
Listen, it was the dollar store, and I'm quite proud of it. It was one of the most economical purchases of the year. That was 96. Okay. If there was any year I could relive in my entire life, it was 1996. Don't you judge me.
I like 96. It was a good year.
Yeah, first grade was awesome.
I was 42 then.
So I was 42. Well, you know what was an economical purchase? The microphone that you had bought, right up until the point that you lost it. It was a very economical purchase.
Yes.
But
I left my dignity with it as well.
At this point, do you remember the comment you were going to make?
Not at all. Oh no, I was going to say it is a unique perspective to see the hunt or the target shooting or whatever through a scope, through an optic, seeing what the person doing the activity is actually seeing as well, for sure.
And
that's it.
It's amazing.
That's my contribution.
Yeah, and it's a great training tool as well, because
yes,
target shooting and even hunting, like if you don't hit exactly where you want, you're like, is my scope off? And 99% of the time, no, you're off. And you can come back and see you pulled the trigger, you jumped it, whatever. Or with the live streaming, what he was saying you can live stream. Like I took my son for his first hunt. And so I could see on my phone live what he was seeing through the optic. And I could see how shaky he was, whether he was good enough to take the shot, or, was he too nervous? Was it all over the place? And I was confident, he was confident, and I was like, okay, take it when you're ready. And you could just see and relive it at the same time, so it's the training tool that you can use for kids, adults, me, when I miss and I try to blame the scope, and you can go back and there's proof that it wasn't the scope.
Yeah. You know what? It's kind of discovered that that same thing very recently. My youngest son, who I shamefully haven't had out shooting as much as I should have before this, started shooting with us earlier this year, and we had him out shooting what the heck was it, Jens? A 4 or 6 inch target out at about 500 meters, and it appeared that he was doing okay, but there were things happening downrange that we couldn't really diagnose. It looked at the firing line when I was watching him while he was shooting that he was doing all right. He was doing a few things wrong, but I mean, a fairly new shooter that is going to make mistakes for the first while. I stuck the Tactacam onto the scope that he was using, and then I watched that footage later with him, and we were able to diagnose many more things that he was doing wrong, that he could have improved on, and that we will improve on coming up next. And that's exactly what popped into my mind. Was this is a great training aid for diagnosing what is actually happening with that person pulling the trigger, operating the rifle, steering it, and pulling the trigger, and seeing what happens downrange as a result.
Aaron, with him being that tactical, please don't send him any of my footage.
Yeah, I won't. There's going to be. What's that?
He was.
So I have one. Oh, okay. I do have one question. What's a meter?
It's
sorry, I have a hell of a hard time hearing Aaron, but I caught what's a meter. You know what? It's just a grown-up yard.
It's
a grown-up yard. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's a half of a stone's throw.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The U.S. joke. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You guys got a lot of them. I want to ask you about the Tactacam 5 and the Tactacam 6, but before I do, the Problem has asked you a question. That's his name, the Problem. Do you have any plans to get in-scope cameras?
What a novel idea.
In-scope cameras, so actually like an optic with a built-in camera.
I guess.
You know what?
I guess.
I know somebody else that wants an internal bubble level in a camera or in a scope.
Yeah. Well, where is Spudman? Anyways,
I don't know.
we've got one listener. His name is Spudman, and every single time we have an optics company on, he asks them to make a scope with a bubble level inside the reticle.
Internal bubble.
Yeah.
Actually, Burris has one with an electronic bubble.
He was told that. Who was it that told him that? Who was on that day?
I can't
Finally,
remember.
Somebody told him that one exists. He's here. He says, "I'm here."
The new Veracity from Burris has an electronic bubble on the inside, and you actually put your ballistics into the scope, and when you're turning the knobs for the elevation, it actually tells you at the top of the scope what distance you're turning to, so you no longer have to look. You can just turn, and at the top of the scope it'll say, okay, your POI is now at 300 yards. You can set it to yards, or for you guys up north, you can set it to meters. But for the regular people that here, America, we can do yards. And it's got the electronic bubble and everything on it. It's pretty sweet.
So
Nice.
There's Spudman's new purchase. It makes me wonder though, like what would happen if you guys say approached, I don't know, Vortex, Loophole, like who cares? Is that something that could even be done to integrally build a camera inside of a scope?
I think the simple answer is yes. It's just a lot has to go into like the design of it, really, because if you think about it, even the way our FTS is currently designed, if you incorporated that into the housing of the eyepiece of the scope, it would be an integrated camera system, right? You just have to have an external power button and a way to get to that battery. But yeah, it definitely can be done. And most of your thermal optics, ATN does it. But the difference with how our system operates versus an integrated camera system like an ATN or something like that is that we're not, the shooter's not seeing a digital rendition of what the scope is seeing. So you are, as a shooter, you're actively looking through the glass. You're seeing everything as you would normally through a scope, and then the camera is also getting the exact same image on the camera. So you're almost having like the two viewers through the scope instead of you looking at a video screen. Like to Joe's earlier point, you know, when you're trying to watch a hunt on a cell phone, you're kind of taking yourself out of that actual moment a little bit.
And also too, without like the ATN and things like that, it's all digital. So when you're zooming in, it's all digital zoom. So you lose real quick, especially for long distance stuff. With the Tactacam and the FTS, you're going through your optical zoom of your scope. So your camera's seeing exactly what you see. So if you zoom in, if you have a 20 up to 24 power and zoom in all the way to 24, where you can see the target at 1,000 meters, 1,000 yards. Yeah. Clearly, your camera is seeing it clearly as well. Versus the digital renditions, you're relied on how good their digital zoom is.
And no digital zoom is good enough.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of life. So Mike has made a commentary. Vortex already did that already. Look at the next generation squad weapon optic for the U.S. Army. I didn't realize that it had a camera, like a recording camera in. That's
cool.
It sounds like there's an option there for the civilian market. I don't know. Go for it. Do it. You're welcome. You don't even need to give us royalties.
Shut your mouth, Chris.
Oh, sorry. Kurt wants royalties.
I am still waiting on Tactacam to put a night vision option on their Tactacams. So when you can put it on the. I've been bugging Ben at this, and he keeps blowing me off. So I'm saying it publicly here. I want Tactacam to put night vision option where they can put a cut filter in it. So when you go through the FTS system, you can then look through your phone, through your optic, and have night vision just on any optic.
Well, we do know that Ben is a faithful listener of the program.
Yeah, so
I'm certain that him and my mother are going to hear this.
Right now.
Calling him out. How would that work though? So if it's just looking through the regular scope, I suppose that the scope doesn't have to be night vision capable, because the Tactacam is what would be amplifying the light that is being seen. Yeah,
that's what I would say. And then you could do it and view it through your phone, and especially like that. I don't know. That's what I want. A poor man's night vision.
That and thermal.
Yeah.
And if they could attach it to a drone.
Yeah. We've got thermal drones down here we chase hogs with. So we
do you really?
Yeah, we'll throw up a thermal drone. We'll find where the sounder of hogs are, and then we'll stock up on them with thermal and night vision, get within 50 yards, just take our ARs, which I don't know if you know what that word even is from up there, but we'll
doesn't that stand for assault rifle? Wait a second, that means assault rifle. We assault rifles are designed to kill the greatest number of people in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's what I heard on
hogs in the shortest amount of time.
And we'll utilize all that together. So
that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I let's talk about the Tactacam 5 versus the Tactacam 6. I didn't grab the Tactacam 6 that I have here, and I should have. But so it's still essentially a cylindrical camera, like all of the other Tactacams are. But it's what kind of a shape would you describe that as, Aaron?
Like a U shape, a flat top.
Yeah. A flat top is probably the best way to describe it. It's not a perfect cylinder. It's a different shape. And so as part of that, it does not fit into the FTS system and cannot currently be used to look through a scope. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, the 6.0 changed, and where the 6.0 shape came in is to integrate that touchscreen on top. And so one of the biggest pieces or biggest questions I think we got from our customers, even though you have the ability to Wi-Fi to your phone and look to see anything through that camera at any time, that extra process with it, kind of still makes people question. And it's kind of funny when you go to trade shows, you'll see people grab that camera out of your hand and they'll be looking it all over. And the first thing they do is they put it up to their eye like it's a monocle kind of. And they're like, what's this thing doing? I'm like, I'm glad it's not a laser pointer. It's so they're trying to figure out what. Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to figure out how do I know what it's seeing? And the immediate follow-up question is, how do I know what it's seeing? well, it's intuitive, you know, as long as the camera button is up and where you're pointing it, it's like what your eyes are looking at right now. But to help solve that question, the 6.0 has the touch screen on top. So it acts as like a control, so you can do different features and functions right from the top of the camera that you couldn't do with just a series of button clicks like you could on the 5. But the best thing of it is it basically live feeds right to that screen. So there's really no question, you know, where the camera is pointing at this point, which is why the main reason why they put that in there. But the biggest, you know, upgrades you see in the 6, the image stabilization, as good as it is in the 5, it's way better in the 6. It is waterproof now, like no questions asked, waterproof down to 30 feet, where the 5.0 is rated weatherproof.
You got is it an IP66 rating you got it, or 68?
66, I believe.
66, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same with the Solo. So to kind of also upgrade the 5.0, we took our Tactacam Solo, which is our entry-level model, and we merged that with another camera line that we had actually launched a couple years back called the Tactacam Fisheye, which was a dedicated fishing camera. So kind of the same concept, like looking at a handful of other companies, like, hey, what kind of features do they have that work good? Which ones do they have that don't? How can we merge them into what we do well? We came out with the Fisheye. And it was, I'd say it was a marginal success. I think at the end of the day, when we launched Reveal around the same time, and we also launched our spotting scope camera around the same time. So I really just think it kind of got buried in the mix. And it's actually picking up more steam, I feel like, over the last 2 years than it has in the 2 years before. More people knowing about it and stuff. But anyway, we merged the Fisheye and our 5.0 into one camera. That's now called the Tactacam Solo Extreme. So really, it's for all intents and purposes, it's a waterproof 5.0 with 1080p resolution instead of 4K. But most of the other features are the same. So that's now your option to stick into your FTS.
Yeah, and an awesome price point on that Solo Extreme too.
An awesome price point, yeah.
So, sorry, just at the end there, you said you can put the Solo Extreme in the FTS chassis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does that mean that there is no plans to make an FTS that the 6.0 will work with?
Correct. Yeah, the 6.0, I don't think there's going to be an intention to make that into an FTS compatible camera. You have to fundamentally basically redesign the current system we have. And if we were to upgrade the FTS, I think you'd see a lot bigger upgrades there than just redesigning the shape. If I had to guess what they would do. Yeah.
Okay. So basically for those who are maybe just looking at the lineup for the first time, if they're looking for the scope enabled camera, you're not looking to get the latest call it flagship model Tactacam, which people would probably assume would be the Tactacam 6. You're looking to get either a 5 or a Solo Extreme.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I would personally, I'd say the Solo Extreme, except somebody who's never used Tactacam before, it's a great price point. It does pretty much everything the 5.0 does, and it goes in the FTS. That would be, that's like the new go-to just POV camera for the Tactacam if you just want one camera that can do everything. If you want more options with the touchscreen, that's where the 6.0 and the combination of utilizing the two together for your, whether it's target shooting, hunting shooting, especially if you want something a little bit closer to the target to see the impacts, you can set up the Solo Extreme on like a stick or some sort of tripod closer to your target, and then have the 6.0 on the gun facing towards you, or vice versa, and then use the remote to control both. It's a great like dual flagship type option that a new person could get relatively inexpensively and do everything that they wanted to do, instead of 6 different cameras like before of the different options.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's making a lot more sense to me now, because I one of the things that I've been puzzled about is obviously, Aaron, we've got some of your Tactacam products. We ended up with the Spotter. We ended up with the Tactacam 6. And I was, the first time I was like playing around with them, I was like, well, why did I get this combination of stuff? Like, I can't look through the scope still. And it didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, how is that going to work? I was like, well, are they making a new FTS? And I'll just like pick that up when it comes out for the Tactacam 6. But what you're saying makes a lot more sense, that if you're looking for the scoped camera, you're looking for the Tactacam 5 or the Solo Extreme. And then if you're looking for, if you're going to run off of, you know, a non-scoped firearm, or if you're going to have, if you want it mounted on the firearm, but you want it pointed at you, or an unmagnified, you know, pointed down range, that's really where the Tactacam 6 is going to work in terms of mounting it on your firearm, right?
Yep, and you can also magnify the 6 too. It's got the zoom. You can zoom into it, so you can set the zoom to have a zoom or non-magnified. So however you want.
But it is a digital zoom, right? There's no optical zoom.
It is digital, but the good thing about, for people who don't know about video editing,
you can start at 4K and
start at 4K, put it into your program that's HD, and then all of a sudden you've got double zoom at the straight clarity of just regular.
Yeah. Yeah, which is actually quite nice. Like I do that with, when we're doing YouTube videos. That's typically what I do. I film everything in 4K, so that gives me the opportunity to zoom. What is it, up to like 20 some odd % or something like that?
Yeah.
You can, before you really start to, but well, by the time, that's what gets you to about 1080p, and then you render your videos in 1080p, and that's what you're uploading to YouTube.
Yep, that's why I film everything in 4K, and then I usually edit it in 1080. And then on, like, for hunting purposes, I can get a lot more digital zoom and still have full clarity.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot more sense now. That definitely answered a couple of questions in regards to the Tactacam 6 for me. I have another question, but I'm gonna let some of our listeners, because they asked questions a while ago, and I want to make sure that we get to this. Give me just a quick second here. Right after Jens shit talked me about forgetting my stuff at the range, he asked, where can I download the app for a Spotter LR camera for a new Android phone? So we had this conversation very briefly over email. Jens obviously has a similar question. The Spotter LR app will not work with Android 10 or newer. So I guess the question from Jens, and the question was the same from me, like, is that app being rebuilt? Is it being updated, or what are the plans there?
Yeah, great question, guys. So yeah, there's a couple answers to that. So number one, as we've upgraded our cameras from the 4.0, which was the original Tactacam that could connect to your phone, to the 5.0, and then the fisheye, the Spotter LR, we started getting, like, we had like 3 or 4 different apps rolling, basically. And so what we decided to do when the 6 came out and the Solo Extreme is say, hey, like, let's consolidate this for our customers. And we have what's now called the Tactacam Connect app. And that's truly designed to bring all of these cameras into one hub. You can just, use one app, tell it what camera you're going to connect to it, and it'll recognize its different features. So the 2 disconnects on that currently are the Spotter LR and the fisheye, because of just the different software that's in those cameras that's different from our standard point of views. And so there's more compatibility workload that has to go into that. So yes, there's active projects in the works now to migrate those cameras into the new Tactacam Connect app. So if you have another camera, 5.0, 4.0, 6.0 Solo, whatever, you can connect them to your Tactacam Connect app. But the Spotter LR, unfortunately, the current app with the new Android stuff doesn't work. And that was something I didn't even know, Kris, until you had actually brought it to my attention, because I can still connect mine up on my Android, so I never even thought it was an issue. But yeah, the newer stuff, as the software and stuff for your phone is getting upgraded, it's now past the point of where that's the app software, I guess, is.
Yeah, I wonder if it will actually work on a new Android. It seems like the Android or the Google Play Store is just not allowing people with new versions of Android to download it from the store.
Like it's not even an option.
Well, yeah, it literally says that it's not compatible with your version of Android, so no, you can't download this.
Well, Kris, there's something that can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. One, join the blue text instead of the green text in text messages, and you can have the works if you just get an iPhone.
Did you just tell me to get the world's shittiest, like? Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this once for my American friend. I respect your individual freedoms that you still have in the great state of Texas, the Lone Star State.
You best be careful here, son.
But I'll tell you this. Apple is for people who hate technology. And Jens, the grumpy German, agrees with me. He says, "Screw iPhone." Oh man, the day that I swap Android for, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, Google's spying on us right now.
Gotta go
But
clean.
you gotta go clean my AR. Yeah. Oh yeah. I hear a coyote out in the backyard there. I gotta go shoot it with my fully automatic Thompson. Well, up until 2015, we got to have short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns without tax stamps. So
yeah,
this is small consolation prize.
That one stings.
We gotta take them where we can get them.
I know.
There's still got to be something, right? I mean, like, can we have bump stocks in Canada? No, I don't think we can.
What's a bump stock?
It's Thank you for not making me explain that one.
Keep up.
Well, I'll tell you this though, we can't have suppressors, and there's no point in having night vision optics because we can't hunt at night. So I'll just bow to.
Who says we can't? We just can't.
Can't get caught.
Supposedly legally.
Yeah, let me qualify that. We can't legally. So Oscar has a question. Is there anyone under 60 that still uses iPhones? Apparently just Joseph.
I guess.
Okay, we got another question here from Spudman. I'm pretty sure we all know the answer to this, but can the Tactacam handle the recoil of the big magnums as well? Let's say like Oscar. What's Oscar's Nitro Express that he had there? It wasn't a 400. It was a, what was it, Kurt?
Say that again.
The Nitro.
Oscar's. Was it a 5?
Maybe it was a 400 Nitro. Whatever. Would it handle a Nitro? Would it handle the recoil of a Nitro Express?
Oh yeah, boy. So I actually, in light of, or in celebration of Spudman asking that question, I've shot in true form to test it, because my very first 2.0, it was a metal camera. I tested it by shooting it out of a spud gun, a potato gun, and every model since I've done the same thing just to see what they'll do, and they all work just fine. So for Spudman, yes, they'll handle the biggest magnums, the 2-inch PVC pipe barrel. But as far as recoil on like heavy magnum firearms, they're designed to handle all of it. And that was kind of the point of making a dedicated point of view camera for firearms and archery equipment, was to handle the vibration out of all the bows, handle the quick impacts from the rifles. The only thing that I've ever seen as a really big issue was, and I'd say it's not a huge issue, but it did come up, and Joseph, you might have some stories about it, but when we first designed FPS, we have on our back caps on the cameras, there's 4 locking lugs that you kind of like put in place and twist to lock. On certain guns, I've never experienced it, so all the guns in my safe haven't had an issue on it. But certain people would call in and say, "Hey man, I blew the back cap off my camera," and it was just basically what happened is the way the recoil transfers through the scope and around into that camera was enough to eventually crack 1 or 2 of those locking lugs and pop it off. And so since then we beefed it up. It's a little bit thick. The locking lugs are a little bit thicker, and there's now 6 of them. But that's why to handle that. But that was like the only thing I've ever seen recoil related happen to those.
Yeah, okay. I've had it on spring air guns, iguaning hunting in Florida, and air guns, man, are the worst. Like they'll destroy a scope faster than a 12 gauge sometimes. Those spring loaded air guns, and we went iguana hunting down in Florida, which was freaking amazing. And we took these spring loaded, walking around neighborhoods, dropping iguanas out of trees, and it did. I've had it on my 300 Windmaster. Had an issue, but and they taste like chicken. But
do they really? Iguana on a stick tastes like chicken?
I tried one. If I'm hunting it, I had to at least try it, at least for that part of it. And we went down there iguana hunting.
You guys found the real secret with Chick-fil-A, Chris.
There's a reason they're not open on Sundays, because they got to go around the canals and restock.
So every time I go to the U.S., I always eat Chick-fil-A. I really like Chick-fil-A. When we went to SHOT Show just back in January, Kurt and Jens, who we brought with us, had never eaten at Chick-fil-A. It was like, okay, guys, well, you got to eat Chick-fil-A. And neither of them were impressed at all.
Best
They're like,
thing ever.
You know, if you really want to be impressed, you got to come to Texas and go to Whataburger.
Oh yeah.
You are not the first person to tell me that, actually.
Whataburger in Texas. Don't go to In-N-Out in California. You guys are already used to California. There, you want to have Whataburger right here in Texas.
You got to have Whataburger, and then you got to go refuel and have dessert at Buc-ee's.
Yes, yeah. Buc-ee's you get lost in there. You get lost in Buc-ee's.
You know, I've never been to a Texas Buc-ee's.
Man, they're massive. They're massive.
Oh yeah, well, I've been to Buc-ee's in Georgia, and I've been to Buc-ee's in Florida, just never in Texas. So I guess that's on the bucket list. I got to back you up though, Aaron, and I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed that you were testing Tactacams on a potato cannon. That's the kind of low rent shit that we do up here in Canada. I'm looking forward to hearing back when you put it on an actual tank gun and see what happens then.
Actually, you know what? I'm glad to. So no, it was a phase when I grew out of it. There's definitely not multiple designs and models in my parents' garage. As far as shooting it off of a real cannon, though, we have a guy. I do not remember his channel, but I could dig it up and shoot it to you guys. And Joe, you might know the crazy dude, and almost positive he's from Texas. He uses our FTS system on an actual cannon to shoot. Like he builds his own arrows and stuff that are like custom steel welded, whatever, and he shoots hogs with them out of a cannon. He hides in these like brush blinds and just demolishes stuff.
He shoots.
You know what I'm talking?
There's a ranch down here in Texas too. You can shoot actual tanks, and like you can get in a tank and shoot actual tanks and run over vehicles, and it's pretty sweet. We should do that, Aaron.
That's where Demolition Ranch always
you and me come down here. Ben approves it, and let's strap a Tactacam to the front of that cannon, to the front of the tank when it's shooting, you know those shells, and blow some stuff up with, and see how well and then. That's an awesome recoil video there. If it can handle that recoil, nobody should ever.
Jens, put down your phone, pack your shit for, let's say, 10 days. Let's go. Meet you here at the front door in like 20 minutes.
Jens has invited himself to this little shit. So, just before we move on here, Mike.
I'm mildly aroused right now.
Mildly.
Not ashamed to say.
I'm ashamed that you said. Mike was saying one other thing that we have over the US is that we can buy Norinco down here, but I don't know, man. I've shot a T97 and I don't know if that's anything to brag about.
Not an M305 though, tuned.
Well, okay, but we don't get the M305 anymore. It's been banned by name.
No, we don't. Yeah,
it went the way of the dodo. Can you guys believe that we cannot shoot M305s or like
M1 copies?
M1
M14 copies. Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Hold on.
The M305, the Norinco M305, which is basically just a Chinese M14 clone. I think they actually
the fun switch.
Buy the original tooling,
the equipment.
Yeah. So
the tooling and equipment.
Norinco was making M14 clones with the original M14 tools. And they were just like all over the Canadian market as a budget semi-automatic hunting rifle.
And the American market too for a period. Yep.
Well, until the
who was it? Bush that went no more Chinese shit over here.
Yeah. Something like that. But that obviously didn't happen in Canada. We've got like hundreds of thousands probably of these Norinco M14s all over the country that have been used. Like they've been a quintessential Canadian hunting rifle. And
CMP, what he really means is like there's got to be 3 or 4 somewhere.
But the point is they got banned along with our AR-15s. So
yes.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Pick up 2 more lowers I ordered online yesterday.
Would you? Okay, listen. I've only known you for about 45 minutes. Shut up!
Get kicked off, Aaron. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so
finding me, I got a call from my FFL today that my 2 lowers came in. I got to come pick them up. So.
Oh, bless
That
your
is
heart, man.
that is a weird system, though. The FFL system, though. Yeah,
It is kind of, yeah.
Palmetto State was having a sale, and I got 2 complete lowers for $150 a piece.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Shipped, and I got to pay $35. But I have my concealed carry, so it's in and out in like 10 minutes. But so if you buy it online, it's still got to be shipped to an FFL dealer, and then you still have to do the background check for that. But if you have your concealed carry, they still run it, but they don't really. I mean, because you've already done the backgrounds with the concealed carry, so I don't have to sit there and wait for everything to be ran. So I can just go and pick it up and leave. But
the whole idea, like, so my business mentor lives in Florida. And so he's got as many concealed carry permits as he can have, but he also drives all over the continental North America. And so obviously when he's crossing the border into Canada, he can't bring his handguns with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, when he goes into certain states like New York, for example, even if he's just crossing the state, he has to stop in this. Let's say he's going east to west for what, and in the states in the middle, he can't carry it in. He stops
in a garbage can along with his laptop.
Puts it in his But look, he has to stop at an FFL before he enters that stupid state, have that FFL ship it to the FFL in the state on the other side of the stupid state, drive through the stupid state without his handgun, and then stop at the FFL on the other side and pick his hand up again.
Leapfrog Firearms.
Yeah.
That'd be a great business name.
It's the most ridiculous, but it's okay for the FFL or the shipping company
to
drive it across that state.
Well, so with the ammo and stuff and shipping it with the ammo is completely different. The rounds and things like that. And there's a bunch of different regulations and who you use with that. But yeah, man, it's crazy. And you have to know which state is what, because otherwise you can get in huge trouble. I mean, just like when I'm flying and traveling with my firearm, if I'm flying, sometimes if I have, I mean, it's just scary to think, like, if I don't do my research, and let's say I fly into DC and I didn't do my research and I'm just new to the whole thing, which of course, most firearm people do their research. I mean, you that's why you have one, but
it's kind of a necessity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
I just flew in there. As soon as I landed and touched my luggage, I would be committing a felony because it's in my luggage, so
right.
I can't.
Well, not technically. You're in Arlington, Virginia. If you fly into DC, you're just fine. And if you fly into Baltimore, you're outside the DC district.
Well, you know how it goes.
Literally the one what he chose as the example, right?
But if you're not careful where you fly and you have to get there and your final destination, you're fine. It's just traveling from there to there. You're in huge trouble. So you're still playing leapfrog for state. That's crazy when you have to ship it from one to another while you're traveling to try to bounce around, or just don't get pulled over.
Well, that's
exactly.
Right, isn't it? Yeah, just don't get pulled over. So Yen says, just don't drive through blue states. It's easy as that. But I mean, it's really not that easy because, for example, if you're trying to get from the east coast of the U.S. to the east coast of Canada, you have to go. There's no way to go unless you're going through a blue state.
Well, I mean,
unless you go way out of your way.
I mean, the good thing about the South, where we're at, Texas, and all the way to Florida, all the way over, pretty much they're all reciprocals of the concealed carry. So we're good to go pretty much.
Texas to Florida, you're good, right? Yeah,
through the southern United States. So I just stay out of the north. I just stick to my south. I let Tactacam be up north, and they can come visit me. If we need to do.
Now, I'm just trying to think. If you were going north out of Texas, are there any, say you were going to Montana? Are you going?
Oh, you're fine.
You're fine.
No, you're fine. Honestly, if you don't travel up and down the east or west coast, you're fine.
Yeah, it's east and west coast, so stay in the middle, and you're good. All the way to Colorado, when we go elk hunting in Colorado and that kind of stuff, we're good. The good thing about Texas, man, I just, wherever I go, I just, especially when if we're bouncing from ranch to ranch chasing coyotes or hogs, I just lay my ARs right in the front seat, loaded, ready to go. So if I stuff there, we can just jump out. So that's the good thing about there. But just don't do that on the East or West Coast.
And our wives wonder.
Ever seen a grown man cry?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to be good. It's so hard.
No, that's the thing, man. Is you've got it's like where America started here on the East Coast. They just had way too much time on their hands to think of way too many rules for the dumbest stuff you can think about. And then all the Californians, they got blocked by the ocean from continuing on west. They used to be smart entrepreneurs looking for gold, but now they've sat over there and wondered what the hell they're going to do and what rules they can make. It's the rule of the coast. There's either you've been here too long or you're the newest people on the block. It's just no, most of the country is good. From what I've been listening to you guys about, you know way more about this than me, I think, as far as like the blue state, red state thing. So I'm just going to ride the line of ignorance is bliss and be the cold-blooded American that I am and just do what I want. And if you get pulled over, I'm sure, hey, sorry, I had no idea. You know, let's get that to UPS and ship it. I don't know. Or, by the way, I can go back home and buy another one so you can just have it.
I don't know if they'd let you go on that. I think you do that in a blue state.
Is it that bad?
Yeah. You do that.
I think so.
In California and you're toast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to California. I already know that. I can avoid that one completely. That's the easy one to get around. You know?
Isn't it funny how so much of New England are your states that you would get in trouble in, and America pretty much was just New England when the Second Amendment was written.
Right.
How things change.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we got through the majority of the questions that people wanted to ask about Tactacam. But what I want to know about Tactacam is, what have you guys got in the pipeline? What's coming down the pipe? What's new and exciting that everybody has to look forward to?
Honestly, man, the newest and latest and greatest is really going to be focused in on the trail camera line right now. We launched 6.0 and Solo Extreme last year, and with all of our cameras, what we've never wanted to do as a company is be the next iPhone or the next GoPro that tries to push out a new model every single year.
Nobody wants to be the next iPhone.
No.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, or even, it's the Samsung, Android, whatever. It's like your customers know that something's new always coming down the pipe, right? So with all of our stuff, they intentionally build them out to be more tech heavy than what maybe we showcase up front. So you're going to see some developments in that app stuff we were talking about earlier with like your spotter LR. A lot of really cool features coming in that Tactacam Connect app as well to kind of just take your camera experience to the next level with the units you have. But a lot of like the newer stuff is actually coming down, like I said, with the reveal line. So you're going to see probably some different markets get infiltrated by Tactacam, which will be really cool, which will bring about some new things. I can tell you we're going to get into some spaces that will probably make your head spin that you'd never thought we were getting into, including myself. That'll be pretty neat. That's about as much as I can say about that one. But yeah, as far as your point of view cameras and your customer experience will go to the next level with the app stuff. And if you're a reveal camera user for security, for hunting, for whatever, you'll see some really cool new stuff coming out with that. And again, we just launched another app update 2 days ago, I think, that has now you can tag all your animals and people and everything else in your yard, kind of training your own personal AI for your specific cameras you have in the field, which is super cool. It has, if you're hunting and that kind of thing, it's got the weather features now that tell you everything you need to know about the weather that day for why those animals are cruising through, and you're going to see some cool new stuff that's just going to continue to build on that as well.
I think that's a smart place to focus. The hardware race in terms of cameras seems to be hitting a little bit of a zenith for the time being. I mean, you can only get people so excited about anything past 4K because the human eye really can't distinguish a whole lot of the differences anyways. So I think it makes a lot of sense to focus in your app realm, your interconnectivity realm, your IFTTT, if you want to call it that sort of area, in terms of the user experience, rather than trying to keep up with the hardware rat race, which really, let's be honest, has diminishing returns at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Derek has a good question for you guys. What are your top 3 Tactacam tips? That's a lot of T's.
I'll give you mine, and I think Joe will. I'll give you mine, and I think Joe will have some really good ones as well. So it's top 3 Tactacam tips. If we're talking about a firearm, stay on target. That's number one. Guys that shoot long range and stuff, you're kind of already trained. You know, you want to be right back in the scope, right back on target as soon as the gun goes off. But it's not as common as you'd think, just in the general hunting terms. And most of the guys that we get that, you know, they buy a camera from me at a trade show and go off and use it one year, and they see me at that next trade show again the next year. They come up and they show me this really cool, what would have been a really cool video. They just didn't either keep their gun up or keep their bow up. And it's cool up until the point the gun goes off or the bow goes off, and then it's like, oh, cool, you know, it would have been way cooler. Just even an extra second or two would have really just recapped that memory in perfect form. So stay on target. That's number one. Number two, as dumb as it sounds, hit the power button. That's probably the second thing I hear every year at trade shows. Is guys, man, I bought that camera, and gosh damn it, once you know it, I forgot to turn the thing on. It all happens so fast. It takes a millisecond to hit that button and let that camera fire up. So turn the camera on, stay on target. Yeah, I mean, it's 2 tips for me. That's the number one, number two thing, to have a good experience with Tactacam. Charge your battery would be the third one, I guess. Charge your battery, hit the power button, and stay on target.
Yeah. So to go on to Aaron's thing, yeah, the follow through. I call it follow through instead of stay on target. So if you're with a bow or with shooting, especially in the hunting aspect and the filming aspect, like I do, you know, because I know the gun is an extension of my camera, so I'm seeing through. So soon, and I follow the animal or whatever I am with the optic, with the gun, so that way you get that full video if you want that full experience. And to Aaron's, like you said, to hit the button and record. I mean, there's been several times where I forgot it. What helped me was getting a remote, and then even with just one camera, because you don't have to reach up to the scope or to on the front of your rifle, wherever the remote's hanging from your neck. You can just easily hit it, and I've had it linked up to 7-8 cameras. I mean, I don't think it's advertised to go to that many. I've had it up to like 8, and all 8 of them have gone on. You know, like 8 different ones, like because I have them on several different guns all in one time, and it's been huge. And one thing that I really do like is that you can, if you're in the field with the Tactacam and you're running low on batteries, you can pop off the back and hook it up to a power pack, and it will charge it right in the Tactacam. So you can have.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have internal power on the way. But for the FTS, my biggest tip would be, because this is what a lot of people ask me, is how do you get the video so clear in your things? Because the optical, the way you're seeing through the scope and the way the Tactacam is seen in the scope is slightly different. So use your app. And then use your front optical focus through where you're focusing for your eye relief focus, and see what relief works best for the camera and your eye combined. So that way you can see, okay, and use your app, your wireless app, before you go hunting or before you go shooting. You set that up, and you can find a really happy median where it's clear through the camera and clear through your actual eye looking at it. Because sometimes you'll look through the FTS and your eye is crystal clear. You go back and look at the footage and you're like, shit, it's completely blurry. So just set it up beforehand and use that app, and you can play with those focuses and what's best for you, and you're good. You do that once and you're good.
Yeah, and then from there, the parallax actually focuses the camera as well too. So now that, you know, once you get that perfect focus, that's a great point, Joe. I like to set mine up at like 50 yards when I do that. And then your parallax, as you start, you know, dialing your scope for whatever distance, your parallax sets your focus for your eye, but it actually focuses the camera as well. Yeah. So if you know, sight it in at 50 and you have a target at 500, you want to set that parallax to 500 or wherever it's focused for your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Hey, great answers to those. That's, I guess, follow-up question, and maybe to wind things up for you guys. Two-part. What is the number one thing do you think that people misunderstand when using Tactacams for the first time? And second part of that question, what is the number one thing that you want the general public to know about using Tactacams?
Wow. I told you, Joe, there weren't going to be any heavy hitting questions, but that's one of them. So general public that misunderstands about the Tactacam. The only thing that really came to mind instinctively is SD cards. When it comes to our cellular game cameras, as well as the cameras now that they have 4K in them, the 5.0 and up, your SD card absolutely matters to how well that camera is going to function. And then in the cellular camera world, it actually, the type of SD card you use determines if it's going to be able to send you a picture or not to your cell phone. So that's the most misunderstood concept, I think, and kind of at the point of sale. I just heard it a bunch of times, so it kind of makes sense. A lot of guys go, oh no, you know what? I see your camera card there, $20, $30, $40, whatever the price is. And like, I can go get a $5 one at Walmart. I'm good. Or I have one of those at home. I'm fine. And so there's a couple of factors there that you truly need to understand is, number one, a cheap SD card is not a good SD card when it comes to electronics. It's just kind of point blank period. The proof's in the pudding. So the specs that we recommend are just absolutely necessary for you to have a good customer experience. And it's also the number one thing that customers have as a fail point for their camera that turns into a customer service call and a potentially what they think is a bad experience. In reality, we can troubleshoot it out 90+% of the time to the SD card.
So in regards to that, just so we can say it for people, correct me if I'm wrong. They want a minimum class 10 card with a minimum 90 megabyte per second read or write. Sorry, right? Is that?
Yeah, and the universal thing or the universal code or whatever is stamped on the SD card for the write speed is going to be a U3.
U3.
So it'll be like a U with a 3 in the middle of it. Yep. And so that's what you want to look for. I've had it so many times at trade shows. Guys come up and no, I bought a class 10 U3 whatever, and I've got this, I've got that, and you pull it open. The one I actually see the most, and I don't know, I've never found them, but I'm assuming it's a knockoff SanDisk, but it's got a gold and black color on it, like however it's stamped. And it's got the spec stamped on there, but I've seen more of those cards show up, and I'll just hand the person one of my personal SD cards I use Samsung cards in mine. I'll hand them one.
It's really not an excuse for it. Like, it's not like SD cards are expensive.
No, exactly. And that's just it. If you want to have a good experience, get the right SD card. You'll save yourself a bunch of headaches, and your camera will work well, and you'll get the video.
A damn SD card.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Old guys like me don't know this shit.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, that's why now we have pictures on the box to show you. Buy this one, or just buy the Tactacam one and take the question out of it. Buy the Tactacam one. But
as long as I don't have to read, then I guess it'll be.
What's your reword instructions? For old guys like Rooster, this is what you need.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to come up with your own branded SD card and just call it the Rooster Edition or
The
something.
Rooster card. You should. Right to the speed of Rooster. I like it. For the video camera specs, you want the Class 10 U3. The ones that we'll always recommend, we make them out of a convenience, and it was actually the only reason we started making our own SD cards and branding them is because we were tired of all the customer service headaches. So if we had our own, it was just as easy to say, hey man, go buy one of ours. It's covered under our warranty. It'll take care of your issue. But if it's not a Tactacam card, SanDisk Extreme Pros are really good. Just make sure it's a verified SanDisk Extreme Pro, like from the SanDisk store, if it's on Amazon or whatever. There are knockoffs out there, believe it or not. Those ones are great. And the Tactacam video cameras will take up to 128 gigabyte card. So as long as it's 128 or less, you should be good to go. Down to 32. I wouldn't put a 16 in there.
Oh, that is good to know. Actually, It's a max 128. That's good.
And then the
max 128.
The 5.0s, I've had a 256 in it with no problems, but
it's
not rated.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good for people to know that, though, because to be perfectly honest with you, the way I am with the price that SD cards are, I'd be trying to drop a 512 in there.
Yeah, they're getting better and better, man. Where you run into issues there, and this is something I learned actually through the trail camera side, is the formatting of the card is different at a certain point because it's got to start storing more compact files, basically. And so if the format of that file doesn't match what that camera is designed to do, then that's where your incompatibility starts hitting. So Joe might have one that formats the same format up to a certain size, and it works just fine. But you start running into those issues if it's not within that the gigabyte range that your camera is designed for.
I just got to highlight Rooster bitching about us on the chat. Jesus, talking about Star Wars again? What the?
I'm just playing with my crayons back here. You guys carry on.
Yeah, make sure you don't eat your crayons this time,
Aaron
Rooster.
took my answer about the SD cards. That's what I was thinking is the first.
That's good though. I mean, that must be the number one thing. Yeah. So then on the trail camera ones, same thing. Buy a Tactacam card. Buy a Samsung Extreme Pro. Again, Class 10 U3. That has to do with its ability to write it or save its file, save the full size file to the memory card itself, and then be able to connect to your cell tower and send a copy to your cell phone. So that whole process requires those specs to make it happen.
So I want to ask you about the reveal card because I meant, or the reveal cameras, because I meant to give you a chance to do that earlier and I forgot. But before we do, I need to circle back to Jonathan's comment here because I just feel like I need to stab at both him and Rooster at the same time. They don't have the funds to purchase a rock quarry to chisel that many manuals out of fucking stone. Just put on your spectacles, Grandpa, and get your grandkids to read it to you.
So we're even getting better at that, actually. So that's a good call out. It's kind of been all over the place, during tech camp, trying to kind of get the fine tune. But the coolest part about things being more and more tech driven, and people's attention spans getting shorter and shorter, you're starting to see a lot more of it actually kind of be right involved in the setup process of your video camera or the cell phone camera or the cellular game camera. So your Tactacam manuals now, when you open them up from a 6.0 or Solo Extreme, it's big, bold font. It's like 3 steps. You're good to go. It's, hey, charge your battery, put it on your gun, hit the power button. Like, it's that simple, right? Like, we try to make it simple. As far as the cellular camera goes, you have to use the app to set it up. So it's 6 steps. It's a little harder, but it's the same thing. It's big, bold, green font. You can't screw it up. It's, and it doesn't let you move on to the next step until you've completed the current step. So you're in good shape.
I'm just waiting now for you guys to bring out the Tactacam 7 geriatric edition that looks like, remember those old tone dial phones that you used to be able to get? They had the buttons that were like 1 inch. No, not the rotary phones. I mean, like for the old people phones that had the buttons on them that were like 1 inch square each. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Joe.
Had that. And they light up in the dark so you can see them.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's going to be the
Tactacam 7.
Yeah, and also I heard that Tactacam is coming out with a so instead of like the mounts for the handlebars of the bicycles, it's the mounts for the walkers. So that way, anywhere they're going, for insurance purposes, when they trip and fall, they have the video footage.
That's right.
I know that the stabilization is pretty good, but you're going to have to step up the stabilization one more point to get that done, I think.
You got that.
But also has a good point. IKEA instructions are the best. He's not wrong about that. Okay, the reveal cameras. So I want you to tell us about them because that's obviously like where you guys are putting some focus for the next little while. You said, along with the app development and stuff like that. But I want to know. I'm assuming this is a yes, and maybe this is an obvious question, but 128 gigabyte capacity card. So it will automatically overwrite when it reaches the end capacity, I assume?
So on the reveals, it's a 32 max card.
Oh, okay.
So 32 gigabytes. So yes, you can, you've got the option. All the settings, the coolest part about the reveal is all the settings are done right from your phone. So you don't have to go through and scroll through a screen and set everything up. We have an X Pro that has a screen because consumers wanted it that bad, because there's still guys like Rooster out there that just think you have to do things the old school way. But when you come to the 21st century, everything can be done through your cell phone. It's kind of amazing. And all the features are set up right there. But yes, you can. There's an option to select loop for your SD card, and you can set it loop or non-loop. That's up to you. But yeah, I always set mine to loop, but I don't think I've ever actually filled one up. They'll hold quite a few photos.
Perfect.
That's because you can't have a feed.
I love that.
True.
I love that in that. I love that with that answer, you probably alienated about 20% of your geriatric customer base, but it made me laugh so much.
No, it's for the for the geriatrics out there, our cameras are for you. And I answer phone calls all day from people from all age ranges, and most of the outfitters is what I deal with on my side now. And yeah, I mean, every level of tech savvy we have as a customer, and it's easy enough to walk anybody through it. And to that same point, we've got a customer service team, and to be successful in anything, you got to have a company that backs up their product. And our customer service team is the #1 rated in the industry. And if you can't figure it out, they'll walk you through it just fine. It takes about 5 minutes to get through that phone line at this point.
Nice. Okay. I just thought of a great marketing idea for you guys. Once the revamping of the apps is complete, you're going to need a commercial to let people know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your commercial, it starts out in like this desert environment, and I forget the name of the song, but it's that da, 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 da. You know what I'm talking about, right? And it pans down. It pans down to Rooster and Spudman and Mike and probably Jens as well, sitting there like in a squat around like an obviously old style trail camera, and they're pushing.
We filmed this entire scene last weekend.
And it's not working, and then they get angry and they're like and they're smashing it on the ground and stuff, and then like this hand from the sky reaches down through the clouds and hands them a new Reveal Tactacam and a cell phone with the app on it, and then they just
right now don't get on there. I hear Ben going nuts over this idea right now.
Joe on it.
Right up his arm. That's right.
Dude. Yep.
And
That'll be all over that idea.
I'll tell you what, I guarantee you these guys would do this commercial for a hog hunt and a tank run. I guarantee it.
Let's do it, boys.
Yeah, let's deny it. I'm 100% on board for those two things. I'll do anything.
I'll wear a damn fig leaf for that shit.
That would be even better.
I don't know if it would be, but I like where your head's at, though. Yeah, we're trying to be creative, and that's what matters. Okay, guys, this was a really great conversation. I think we got some really good insight into Tactacam and some really good answers to some questions I know that some of us had about some Tactacam products, and you guys answered everything very well, and I want to thank you guys for coming on. Is there anything that you guys want to say? Let's give you guys the last word. Is there anything that you want to say before we tune out for the evening?
I do want to do a shameless plug for Joe. He tried getting some squeaky advertising in. I don't know if you guys saw it. His wife is awesome, and she has these little bowls that are called Folicious, and they fit great in your camper survival packs, and you can find them at Walmart now. It's called Folicious. His wife makes them.
She does. She does an instant pho bowl that we make, and if you've had Vietnamese pho, it's like actual authentic. My wife's Vietnamese. It's her family's recipe. They immigrated as refugees when she was like 4 or 6 years old. She took them almost 2 years to get here. They were robbed by pirates on the sea and rescued by fishermen, and that's how they ended up in America. Actually getting here. Family recipe, and that's what she does, and so that's our company that she does. So you didn't have to do that. I was just messing with you.
No, dude, it's a cool story, man. I wanted to. That's awesome.
It's called Folicious.
Folicious, yes.
Sorry, I'm American. I say faux. My bad.
Is that's okay? Is it Folicious.net?
Folicious, yeah. So it's Folicious.net. That is correct.
Vietnamese pho kit.
Yes.
Authentic Vietnamese pho from our home to yours. So is this like pho MREs?
We actually that goes in your bag that can go in your pack that we just launched, but they're microwavable bowls that are on the go, and you just put hot water in it and you're good. So
well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That actually sounds amazing. I'm just on the website here.
The white guy selling pho.
Oh yeah.
So you got beef. That's
cool.
what you were showing us earlier. You got beef. You got chicken. And
so you Canadians will.
But we're not in Canada yet. We're working on it. So we don't have.
So
any
I cannot order it from Amazon.ca, is what you're saying?
No, we're not on Amazon.ca. We're actually working on getting our VAT information, and we're working with Amazon Canada right now to get it up there.
Nice.
A couple labeling things we have to do, like we have to put it in French and things like that on the package.
Yeah.
But
we're
just going to put a sticker on the bottom with that kind of stuff, and so to have that be compliant.
Who's this handsome guy on the
sharp
website
guy
here?
back there?
There's that non-redneck version of me right back there.
And what's this white guy doing in the picture with all the Vietnamese people?
Yeah. So I'm the adopted stepchild.
Well, one of these things doesn't belong here. That's pretty cool. You guys are in Walmart. That's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're gonna have to send us an email when you guys get into Canada, because I'll tell you what, man, like that probably tastes better than Chick-fil-A. Jens is probably not wrong. You definitely have to let us know when that comes into Canada, because I see a lot of hunters and campers taking that, because I know so many people that take those shitty little instant noodles out when they're camping with them, and like you get like a full-on like pho. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and then I'll take like venison, slice it up real thin when we're hunting, and put that straight from the camp. So,
boy, that's some genius stuff. Yeah,
I want to plug a T-shirt idea for you quick.
Aaron's, a T-shirt idea.
I got a T-shirt. You Canadians will enjoy this too, because I got it from you actually. I'm sure you're familiar with the old fuck yeah, bud.
Oh yeah.
Joe, you need to make some shirts that say OPYB on them instead of OFYB. PHO with a K.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude. Okay. Joe.
Wait.
You want to make a splash? You want to, Joe, baby. You want to make a splash in Canada? As soon as that shit is either in Canadian Walmarts or on Canadian Amazon, that 100% is your shirt, Aaron. That is 100%.
I'm telling you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, bud. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You got to put the bud on the end of it, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't know how far we've gone off the rails here, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty far.
Pretty far off the rails.
I'm serious though. Aaron's got our email address. When you get into Canada, you need to let us know, and we're gonna plug it for you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay.
Oh fuck yeah. Oh fuck yeah, bud.
All right. Well, anybody, if you guys are still with us at this point in the conversation, God bless you. And if you are still with us, make sure you give us a like or a thumbs up, whatever platform you're watching us on, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on the YouTubes. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/BS podcast. We're also at youtube.com/BS podcast. You can find our content on our actual website. Also, it is bspodcast.ca. You can email us if you would like, although, I don't know why you would want to, but please do anyway. It's info@bspodcast.ca. And at this point, I would like Aaron and Joseph to plug their contact information. Aaron, you plug Tactacam. Joe, you plug Felicious. And go.
Yeah, man. Tactacam.com for all your point of view camera items. For the next 2 months, revealcellcam.com for the Reveal products. There is a third shameless plug for a company called Scrape Fix. It's a synthetic deer attractive powder designed to get deer hitting those trail cameras year round that we also own. Here very soon, probably October, you're going to see our website convert to just Tactacam.com. But if you guys can't remember anything else, remember Tactacam.com, because the Reveal products are on there and you can click and get linked through to their website. So Tactacam.com, that's where you go.
That's on the internet, Rooster. It's that black box that they installed beside your television.
Okay. I'm gonna get one of my kids.
Yeah, and if you wanna, hey George, get that interweb stuff.
Mr. George, how much you pay for the new guy?
Which one's George and which one's Wheezy? There's a reference that only people Rooster's generation will get. Okay. Tell us about Felicious.
Well, first, if you want to see some of the Tactacam in action, txgamehunters.com. That's my that's the hunting aspect of what I do.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, the Texas Game Hunters TV. We that's all we with is Tactacams. So if you want to see it, like how I put it in 3 or 4 different angles, all into one video, we've got all that kind of stuff on there, which turns it into a streamlined type production, all just from sitting on one gun, so you don't even have to worry about it anymore. So txgamehunters.com we're on YouTube. We're on the Book of Faces for Rooster, that Facebook Book of Faces stuff. So, but yeah, I have a bunch of content on there. A lot of our YouTube stuff is just short clips. Me, my wife, my kids, we're all on there, hunting and things like that. So, just fun.
What kind of gun is that?
That's one that you will get arrested for just looking.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. Carry on.
Yeah, so no, that's the main plug. And then for the Felicious side, felicious.net, we make some killer Vietnamese pho right off the bat. So that's me going through sort of the 6.0 and some other stuff and how to do the cameras and how to hook them up and things like that. So
that's awesome.
Brilliant.
Okay. So also, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors again. Without our sponsors, we wouldn't really be able to do this show, to be perfectly honest with you. And thank you to all of our
lot
viewers.
Of people thanking them.
Yeah, and thank you to all of our viewers and our listeners. Without you guys, we would just be 2 morons who live in the same city, but still, for some reason, get together on the internet, separate from each other, and yammer on back and forth. Yammer on back and forth on the internet. So we are, of course, talking about Shane and Steve, Miles, Carrie and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil Odell, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, Oscar and J.R. Cox. Thank you guys all an immeasurable amount. We are eternally grateful to you all. Hey, Aaron, Joe. Aaron, it took us a while to get you on. We had a few false starts. I'd like to thank you for like, what fucking luck too, right? Like the third time we tried to have you on, and you have a storm that puts out your power. But you know what? You still came on. You're a trooper. We appreciate it very much, and thanks for making the suggestion to bring Joe on with you. Joe, it was great having you on here as well, and this was fantastic. You guys want the last word?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bud.
That's
oh, yeah, bud. I'm taking that out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, folks. Kurt, am I missing anything?
Yes. From what I could hear, I think you got it all.
From what you know what, Kurt? You did a hell of a job. You did a hell of a job.
You know what? Like, listen. The only reason I'm here is because of my pretty face. We all know this.
Yeah.
That's why I finally made the time to come on.
Yeah. He saw a picture of you on the internet and he's like, okay, I'll go on. And Joe is
probably not the site we're all thinking.
All right, everybody. We will see you all next week. Thanks for joining us. Boys, don't go anywhere when we go offline, okay?
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS. Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.